My name's Jeremy. I'll be taking you through the platform today. The purpose of this platform is just to help IT find better ways to IT, right? Today in 2023, as we go into 2024, the mindset of I have an RMM, I have it handled, really hasn't been relevant in our industry in the last 5 to 7 years as we've adopted, new tech for all of our clients, right? The tech stack has grown tremendously over the last decade. And the RMM is no help here, right? Because all of these different systems, they're all disparate. They all kind of do their own thing. There's really no way to centrally manage and standardize across them. And at the end of the day, the biggest issue that I've learned that we have as an industry is our inability to understand change, right? Because when we think about it, when we start to peel that back, if you have a tool like SharePoint or a tool like IT Glue or any place where you're documenting client assets, the problem with that is unless you're going to log into every single system every single day to go look and identify for changes, very, very quickly your asset documentation becomes stale and obsolete because we don't know when things are changing to even keep them properly updated. Right. And so if we don't know when things are changing to keep our assets up to date for our team and for our clients, what happens when a change is security related? Right? Like right now, could you confidently say that every end user under contract currently has their MFA enabled? But a Liongard partner can, right? And so we're going to talk about that today, right? Our inability, like a web developer could have came in over this weekend, changed the client's DNS or MX record, and one of your techs would have got a call this morning from your customer going, hey, why don't I have email? And they'd have to be honest and go, I don't have a clue. Let me call you back. That's not managed services. That's not what we're in this business for. And so there's got to be a better way to manage these things, right? We need better visibility. We can't secure our customers if we don't even know things are changing in the first place. And so we've found a better way to IT. What it does, it's the unification of your data into a single pane of glass. So these are just a few here, but we integrate into 83 platforms today at the API level for most of the data for all. Now, what we're doing here is 3 times a day or on demand by a technician at any time, we are running a scan and we're pulling fresh data in from all these platforms. And when we do that, a few cool things begin to happen. Very first thing that happens is your team is now going to have a whole new way to interact with data, right? Like right now, it would take literally, 5-10 minutes to go RDP into a client's Active Directory to go verify some security policy settings. A Liongard technician can actually do it in less than 10 seconds, about 100 times faster, right? And so if time is money, right now, we need to find faster ways to access our data. This is a great way to do that. Now, when we pull in the data, we're also documenting the changes that have taken place. Now, this is ideal for your security team, as well as your tier 2, tier 3 technicians who most of the time they're trying to identify what has changed that's causing this issue. And so if they can instantly get to data and not just see the changes that have happened on that system today, but also the historical changes that have been occurring on that system for that client over the last 18 months, well, troubleshooting times are going to take a nosedive. Right? Because when you think about it, what are your techs spending the most time doing today when they're troubleshooting? They're looking for that needle in the haystack, trying to figure out what changed. And that takes so much time and energy. If we can give them a better way to understand the changes that are going on, of course, you're going to be faster in the roll. Now, when those changes occur, if they're security related, built into the framework of Liongard is CIS version 8 and its 18 controls. So that our partners within the first 60 days of deploying Liongard have a stronger security posture than 95% of the MSP space are like you guys are at this moment. If that web developer came in and changed the MX record or somebody disabled an MFA, you have no idea about it. The Liongard partner does. So they have a stronger security posture because of it. So when we look at our dashboard today, what we call an environment is just a managed service client. So I got 44 clients here and I can see my clients here. Now, you have 80,000 MSPs in the world that have never operated within a single pane of glass. So no one truly understands what to ask for, what the value of it would be for. And to me, it's just being able to quickly identify what is going on with a customer across their entire stack, right? Because if your average customer has a stack of 10 to 15 different solutions, and you wanted to go log into all 10 or 15 of those solutions today to go try to identify any security vulnerabilities, it could take hours. But because they're all individualized, right? You got to go log in all those things independently and go search for those different pieces of data there. With Liongard, if I'm going to click on my customer Contoso Nation, this is the client we're going to use all today, is Contoso Nation. As soon as I click on it, on the right-hand side, Liongard is pulling in their entire stack for me so that I very easily can start to identify the things that I'm managing for this client and hopefully identify some unforeseen vulnerabilities like these people in their AWS services today who've disabled their MFA. right? Or I have two domains that I'm managing for this customer, and one that needs my attention is obviously the one that's missing its SPF record. But the purpose of this is I'm not having to go seek this out, do audits, or find time to dedicate to do this. I can just very easily start to identify the things that need our attention, like their Microsoft Tenant Secure score, which is very low. And a big part of that, of course, are these 13 people with their MFA disabled. And so if you've got two MSPs in the same neighborhood, one has no idea what is going on with their clients on a day in, day out basis, and one has access to Liongard, who could know how healthy and secure they are in a matter of just a few short minutes. I would say one has a very significant advantage over the other in that arena. Now, on the left-hand side, you're going to see the industry's first cyber risk dashboard. This is going to be used both for client-facing, so your clients can actually log in and see what does the risk look like today. Also, a great way for your technicians or account managers to have engaging conversations with your clients about possible vulnerabilities or areas of improvement. Now, this was designed by Liongard and the cyber insurance broker DataStream. So DataStream took their entire checklist of what they look for a client to maintain cyber insurability and built it into this dashboard. So as soon as I click on it, it brings me live data in of what this client's entire ecosystem looks like and the potential risks associated with everything within it. And so as I can see here for their authentication MFA, of course, very big red flag here. Only 4 out of my 16 users have their MFA enabled. As I scan through their email security, obviously some glaring red flags here. We've got to get that fixed. And Windows Defender on less than half of the things out there. Now, the domain and website SSL search, those are great, looking good. But again, only 1 out of my 6 workstations actually has the required encryption data or platform I want on BitLocker. So again, definitely need to get in there. And this information is dynamic. I can click right into it and get to those machines that obviously are missing, that piece of that software that I require on my machine. And of course, so again, could you imagine? So one of the biggest reasons I've learned that a client leaves an MSP, it's not due to being disgruntled with the MSP. It's due to because they don't understand or perceive the value for which the money that they are spending. Because the end users, they don't have the privilege of seeing all the work that is done behind the scenes, underneath those covers, to keep them secure, to keep them operational. But by giving them access to Liongard, where they can self-serve and log in here to see all the work that you guys are doing dynamically for them to minimize the risk, to ensure that if an event happened, they were insurable, is another great way just to demonstrate the value of what you're presenting to them, and by giving them access to this area right here. So all the magic begins here at the inspector level. So we've got over 83 integrations today. What I like to do just real quickly is just go through the 83 so that you can identify them with us. And then we're going to pick a few. We're going to go through a couple scenarios. We're going to go through a onboarding scenario, a troubleshooting scenario, and a security audit scenario. The reason I picked those 3 is I lean heavily on what our partners are actually achieving by utilizing our platform. So every January, we send out a blind survey. We send about 200 of them out using SurveyMonkey to random partners. This is, as small as a single-man army in Sweden to the Lloyd groups of New York. We ask them 5 questions. We're going to focus on the 3 center ones here. So we said, how much faster do you resolve tickets when you have Liongard help you troubleshoot? Very straightforward question. 110 MSPs that responded, the number 1 answer was a 50% reduction in troubleshooting time. The number 2 answer was a 90% reduction in troubleshooting time. The average technician that is empowered with Liongard is able to reduce their troubleshooting times down by 55%. Could you imagine if 6 months from this moment, half the tickets that came into your service board, your technicians were knocking out in half the time? Right? It doesn't happen 100% of the time. But if 50% of the tickets that came in, you were able to knock out 50% of the time, that would improve anybody's business threefold. Now, security audits, how much faster security audit? This is considering the facts of like, hey, I got to go through 150 WatchGuards today to find the ones that are on outdated firmware versions. A task or a project like that could take a full day or more. A Liongard partner can do it in under 10 seconds because we built in a reporting matrix into the platform that analyzes all the data to find those little pieces that you need. And so that's why 44 of those MSPs, so they've cut their security audit times down by 90%. And of course, onboarding. Onboarding is the first step that you have with a relationship of a new customer. And out of 107 MSPs, the number 1 answer, 27 of them told us that they were able to reduce their onboarding time down by 90%. Now, the average, just your average regular MSP, saves about 60% of onboarding time. That means a 25-hour onboarding project for you guys today A Liongard partner can achieve the same result in less than 12 hours, creating a profitable beginning to a relationship with a new customer, and then continuing that profitability throughout the entire tenure of the relationship because they've reduced their troubleshooting times and ensure that their clients are more secure because of it. All possible through one platform. So we're going to focus on those three scenarios today. We've got everything from the 3CXs to the ADs, Intune with Azure AD, the whole Cisco shop here in Cloudflare, of course, ConnectWise and Datto BDCR. As we go into, we've got Duos and Dropboxes and Google Drives and Workspaces. Hyper-V is completely built into here, as well as Jump Cloud, Mac support, managed printers, and 365 suite. Now, a couple of things that we've designed in-house that we've built for the community that's no additional charge. One of them is identity monitoring. So every single week, we're going to take every single end user email address and run them through a batch on the dark web to identify breaches. If and when a client's email address has come up in a breach, we will create a ticket in ConnectWise to let you know who it was, what was happening, where it occurred at, so that you can now go have that conversation with that client or prospect. Same thing with internet domain. We're just going to manage your domains moving forward. If a web developer comes in and changes an MX record, you're going to get same-day notification, so your client does come in the next morning with their email intact, right? Or if a domain's going to expire within 30 days, we're going to alert you on that, so you guys don't have to ever think about it again. It's just going to go to Onboarding ConnectWise, and the same thing here with managed printers. Now, of course, we've got the Sentinel ones, the PF Senses, the Sonic Walls, whole Sophos and SQL servers, NASs, Ubiquities, SSL certs, and Veeams, down to the VMware platforms, WatchGuard, WebRoot, Windows servers, and workstations. So a lot of integrations in common here. We're going to focus on probably Active Directory, Sonic Wall, and then like 365. So 60%, right? That is a pretty significant reduction in onboarding time. Where is that coming from, right? Well, first, we need to understand how much human intervention is involved in your process today, right? You deploy a tech, maybe deploy the RMM, you open up a SharePoint file, and now you got to go RDP into an Active Directory, right? Your tech has to go spend about the next half hour, 45 minutes copying, pasting some stuff from all throughout the Active Directory platform into a SharePoint file. Then he has to physically go back through the Active Directory to assess it and find any misconfigurations that the last MSP didn't have set up correctly. So that's another half hour, 45 minutes there. So think about that, right? Your onboarding project, the first hour, hour and a half, the only thing that was accomplished is the documentation and the assessment of an Active Directory environment. Now you've got to go do their firewalls and their routers and their switches and their cloud applications and and you've got tens of hours ahead of you doing nothing but documenting and assessing. The worst part is after you put in all that time and energy within a few short months, the information inside of your SharePoint files are no longer current. And so your team is starting to use data that is no longer relevant or real. And they're using bad data to solve real problems. And that's no way to manage. And so with Liongard, we're going to flip that completely around. So you'll use your script and your RMM to deploy us out to the client site behind the firewall on the servers and workstations that live there. We're going to run right alongside your RMM agents to enhance not only the security, but also the visibility at the endpoints. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Once it's in the network, you can do a network discovery, which will then start finding the things we integrate with. It'll say, hey, I found a Sonic Wall, I found Hyper-V, I found Active Directory. It'll start to greenlight the things that it can integrate to. When it finds the Active Directory, all your team will do is put in their read-only credentials, hit activate, and they've completed the onboarding process. Liongard's going to do the next 5 phases of automation. Phase 1, build my team a profile of data that they can trust and get to in seconds. Like I mentioned earlier, to go RDP into an Active Directory, it could take 5-10 minutes to go find the information. Moving forward, it'll take 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds to answer your question next time. What would you rather empower your technicians to do it? The old school way, 5 or 10 minutes, or the new school way, 5 or 10 seconds, right? We need to give our techs the best access to the data so they can do the jobs most efficiently. And all the data is here, right? They can now go and get the domain container details. They can go look at the DNS zones and their configuration state, all of this data, and they can trust it's accurate because 3 times a day it's refreshing new data in here. Now, if and when you guys ever decided to leave SharePoint and maybe go invest into technologies like Hoodoo or IT Glue for documentation tools, we would then take all the data that we capture and push it to those platforms. But again, you don't need those tools. If you did have them, we would then, of course, just automate that part of the documentation as phase 2 of the automation journey. Phase 3 of the automation journey would then to be able to capture the entire overview of this client's Active Directory information, which is things like domain name, recycling bin status, who the privileged users are, who the group administrators are, even the security policies, takes this data, jumps over to ConnectWise, creates you a brand new configuration in ConnectWise, and takes on the responsibility of not just building the config, but every single day maintaining its authenticity so that every ticket comes in is attached to a configuration that was designed through automation and not through people. So it's accurate, it's up to date, and it's correct. So build me a profile, handle my documentation, create my config. Phase 4 of the automation journey is now to take on the role of the technician, right? Today, you are paying somebody to physically go out there and identify any red flags, like the recycling bin maybe not being enabled, or the minimum password link set to 0 characters, or whatever it may be, right? Well, instead of you having someone physically do that, we're going to automate it. So what we're going to help you do is we're going to help you design your onboarding template. This template will have a set of rules of what your standard best practices are across the stacks of tools you manage. So to give you an example, like for Active Directory, you're going to say, well, we require minimum password length 15 characters, max password age of 90 days, right? Want to make sure that everybody logs in once every 30 days, remain active and not stale, never have disabled users, so on and so forth to what your standard template will be. What Liongard does is it takes that template, lays it over top of the configuration state of this environment, and starts to identify the red flags for you so that people are no longer involved in this process. So it'll start analyzing the data. It'll be like, our recycling bin's enabled, so that's okay. And you've got 2 privileged users, so no problem there. But oh, hold on, let me create a ticket in ConnectWise because the minimum password length is a 7. It's supposed to be a 15. The max password age is 42 days. It should be 90 days. And so it'll now start identifying the things that go outside of your best practices and create a ticket in your board in ConnectWise so that your team knows what to go fix. It'll even grab all the users on this new account and pool all the disabled ones into a ticket. It'll go check the last time everybody logged in. If it finds any stale users, it will create a ticket for them inside of ConnectWise to let you know who they are. It'll even vet out the last time they changed their passwords. And if you guys want to standardize on having everybody change their passwords at least once a year, it'll go find anybody who's supposed to post that. It'll do that through the entire group policy setting configuration state, all the way down to the DNS zone, so that 2 things have just occurred here. Standardization on this onboarding project, as well as eliminating any human error element. No more I forgot, I missed, I skipped, because now it's automated through technology instead of your people. So build me a profile, handle my documentation, create my config, find all my red flags. Now, once we have identified these red flags, your team will, of course, fix those red flags. We're not that cool yet. All right, so Roost and Pia are the next generation of robotic automation. Roost and Pia have tracked a partnership with Liongard to develop the next evolutionary change detection response platform. Essentially, what this is going to allow our industry to do is Liongard is going to become your standardization tool, right? These are my standards. These are our best practices. Should anything drift, shift, or change, it will raise that alert. Well, as it raises that alert, Roost has the technology to come back in and evolve it to whatever it should be without the need of a technician. So I'll give you an example on an onboarding scenario, right? As Liongard is checking the config state of this Active Directory, and as it alerts on, hey, this should be a 15 and this should be a 90, Roost has the technology through our API now to go back behind the scenes, see this going on, and then get into your Active Client's Active Directory to revert it to the 15 and 90 without the need of a technician. In the security settings of the world, right? Standardizing on the enablement of MFA across your end user stack. Well, while Liongard watches that MFA status, and should anybody disable their MFA, Liongard would raise that flag. Roost would be able to come behind the scenes and immediately re-enable their MFA without the need of a technician, minimizing the time frame in which an MFA actually stays disabled. And so some really cool things that are coming into our industry that are powered by our 2 platforms coming together to devise this. All right, so build me a profile, handle my documentation, create my config, find my red flags. Now, once these red flags are fixed, right, you have now configured this Active Directory around your standard best practices. So what do you need here? You need to empower the team with ears and eyes. That's what these 91 metrics are designed to do. So 3 times a day automatically, or they can hit run. Once I hit run here, what's happening is Liongard is vetting against these 91 variables, going, all right, has anything been added, removed, modified, changed, intentionally or maliciously? If and when a change has occurred, it will not create a ticket. All we want to do at this point is give your team the visibility they need to understand what's going on out there, which is what these ones are telling me. On December 16th, there is a change. And so I can rewind time to December 16th, click on changes, and see that the default administrator account who was removed from that account today. right? Giving my team the visibility they need to understand what is going on behind the scenes. Now, think about it in the case of a troubleshooting scenario. When a client calls up, this is Bruce. I can't log into my email this morning. Can you help me out? In the first 10 or 15 minutes on the phone with Bruce, trying to get him to admit what he did wrong, retrace his steps, or recreate this event. If and when that ends and goes nowhere, only next choice of option is to go sift through logs. So now he's looking for the needle in the haystack for the next half hour in that thing. Maybe 45 minutes later, he finally gets Bruce logged back in and he closes his ticket. Standard operating procedure for a normal MSP. Now, same scenario. Bruce calls up. All right, man, Bruce, hold on. Let me see what's going on out here. I see you guys had 7 changes in your account this morning. And Bruce, no wonder why you can't log in. You were removed. But it took less than 30 seconds to get to that result. 30 seconds, 45 minutes, right? We start to understand that if we do give our teams better visibility, help them understand what is truly going on in their accounts, then of course troubleshooting time is going to drop by 55% or better, right? Because they stop talking to the end users. They stop looking for the needles in the haystack. They're empowered with the right data to make the right decisions moving forward. So they're going to be faster and more efficient. Red is what is removed or changed from. Green is what is added or changed to. And we do this for every platform. Think VMware, think SonicWall, think 365, Intune, Azure. And of course, we're going to, if we give our teams better visibility, they are just going to automatically become more efficient. Now, the final phase of automation is to become your security compliant CIS manager. So again, built into the framework is the version 8 of CIS. This loads up. What I did here was I took CIS and its 18 controls, and I married them against the alerts that we have pre-built into Liongard. You can see where each control lines up to a specific alert that's pre-built in Liongard. So what we're going to do is we're going to help you design your CIS template with a set of rules that goes, all right, Liongard, for every Active Directory customer that we manage, I want you to watch their account every day. And in the event that a security event happens, like key password policy details get modified, or a protected group member gets modified, detached group policy or change to a privileged user occurs, create me a ticket in this board and ConnectWise, right? Because if over the weekend somebody created a default guest account and you weren't aware of it, well, there's some big trouble coming down the path that you would have no ideas heading your way. But a Liongard partner does. Take a moment, you can see the screen and look at these alerts that are pre-built into Liongard today, just for Active Directory. How many of these situations would you be made aware of if they were occurring in one of your clients' AD environments this morning? And it's crazy, right? 95% of the MSP space are like you guys are right at this moment. They would have no idea if default guest accounts are being enabled or somebody's trying to hack into their client's account with the wrong password 5 or 6 times. But by turning Liongard on, within the first 60 days of deployment, you will have a stronger security posture than 95% of the space because you stop being like everybody else. You get that ticket when that default guest account gets enabled. You get that alert from us when the MFA gets disabled on a Google Workspace account, or that MX record gets changed by a web developer. If that external forwarding rule gets modified or there's a change to a privileged user in the 365 account, no same day so you can take action around it instead of reacting to all these situations when it's too little too late. And these are already pre-built into Liongard for you guys to start using day one. You can, of course, create more alerts around anything what you're standardizing around, but these are just pre-built for you to begin using day one to start having a stronger security posture moving forward. Now, all of a sudden, a ticket comes in the board about somebody's internet being down or something going on haywire in somebody's network, right? To me, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to the client Contoso Nation. I'm going to go look at the changes that have happened globally for this customer and see if it's the domain that's being interrupted, the SonicWall that's causing the issue, or what it could be. This is going to help me very quickly start seeing all the changes that have transpired for this customer in chronological order to help me maybe pinpoint where the impact is, right? Now, very, very quickly, I can go from being in that screen, getting to this client's SonicWall profile, and watch how fast I can start to confirm data is correct, right? I want to make sure they're on the right firmware version. I want to go check out their interfaces and make sure everything is static. I want to get into my firewall rules and zones and make sure those things are configured correctly. And once I see that nothing really looks too glaringly wrong here, I'm going to jump up to the timeline and start to understand what changes have been occurring. As I can see this morning, zone intrusion prevention was disabled on these 4 zones and re-enabled on these 5. But I can continually rewind time to see other changes that have happened, what trends may be going on that might be causing this client's issue within their network. Today, if you guys have, I'm just going to put a number out there, 100 SonicWall customer environments, right? How confident are you right now at this moment that every single zone that should be enabled for security practices are enabled across 100 customers? And how long would it take you to go confirm that? If one of your technicians disabled a rule this morning and then he forgot, would you know about it? Think about this, right? You can design a SonicWall template. This is all right for every SonicWall customer that we manage under contract. I want to make sure that these rules are always enabled, that these zones are always enabled. Should anybody disable them, Liongard document it and inform me by a ticket. Or, hey, I want to guarantee to my customers that on their security settings that these monitoring interfaces are always enabled. Should they get disabled, document it and inform me. Right now, out of 150 customers, there could be one or two out there where the gateway antivirus setting is disabled, but no one knows about it because they forgot. But a Liongard partner standardizes on what their standards are and uses technology instead of people to vet and verify every day so that drift is completely eliminated. Could you imagine walking into your office a month from today and you've completely eliminated drift across your stack? What that would mean, not just for you, but also your clients? That's what we want to find better ways of doing, right? We need to ensure that our standards are always maintained and met, whether it's a technological error or a human error. We need to be able to ensure that if those errors are made, we are able to catch them same day and correct them. Otherwise, we're just hoping, and that's no way to manage our customers. Okay. Also, in Liongard, you're going to have 3 templates. These 3 templates are going to take you very far in our relationship. You're going to have an onboarding template, a security CIS template, and then a licensing warranty template. Because through the API integrations that we have with SonicWall and Dell and Lenovo and domains and everything like that, Liongard is going to automatically start tracking expirations. And so you can create a template that goes, hey, for every system that we manage, I want to know 30 days before they expire and create me a ticket to this board and ConnectWise, so that the people within your organization that handle those things, they're no longer having to go seek them out or miss them. They can just work off the service board now and use technology to inform them. Right? Some people use scale pads. Some people try to manually keep track of these things. A Liongard partner just creates one template and never worries about it again and allows technology to work in their favor. Now, in everybody's business, it doesn't matter who you are as an MSP, we make a decision every day. Do I, A, give God access and admin privileges to my entire technical staff so they can do their jobs effective and efficiently? Or do we understand how unwise that is and we restrict access to some of our team members and delegate very simple tasks to higher paid technicians? Either way is not beneficial to the organization. And so with Liongard, we level the playing field. Because this is a security platform and it is read only, I can now empower my level 1s to my interns, all the way up to my level 3s to get to the data they need to do their jobs effectively and efficiently. So if they need information on a Dell 790, know when the warranty was going to expire or what antivirus is on this machine, that person would be required to have God access to get to that machine to get the data they need. Or now that you guys will have Liongard, that same technician could get to the data securely within seconds. Be able to jump to the warranty details and explain when the warranty is going to end for this Dell and what the service level description is, because it's all empowered by Liongard. Of course, we get the same traditional RMM information, right? Processor, motherboard, network adapter, BIOS, RAM, all the stuff that is within the machine. But what about the external things that plug into the machine, like the monitors, the keyboards, the mice and USB drives and printers? We need to empower our technicians to have all the data at their fingertips, not just some of it. Liongard brings it all to the table. You can even require and make standardization around software on your machines. You can create a template that says, all right, Liongard, I want every single workstation that we manage to 100% of the time always have BitLocker on it, Huntress, Zoom, whatever. You build that template out every single day. Liongard is auditing your workstations to ensure that your best practice software is always on every machine. And if it's ever missing, it will document it and it will inform you. Now, another great thing about Liongard and having that agent on there is it's doing a diagnostic of this network continuously throughout the day, doing pings and trace routes and things of that nature. So let's pretend an end user calls up, but something's running slow. Can you help me? Traditionally, the team would go through a lot of steps to find out what's going on out there. But if the team had Liongard, they would just click on network diagnostics. Liongard will now show the technician what the latency is, the download speed and upload speed. You can see the Ether connection is up, DNS not enabled, but I have my ping information here, trace route, and extended network details. Without me having any credentials to this network, I've just identified that the problem is not in the network in less than 60 seconds. Now I'm going to jump up here and see what's going on with this machine. Hopefully this will tell me a different story. As I click on where these 6 changes on this machine happen, I'm going to be able to see that Windows Defender was disabled today on this machine and somebody installed CrowdStrike. And that's probably what's causing the gum up. But again, it took me less than 60 seconds to get to this result. How long would it take your team today to get to the same area, get the same conclusion? So here's something that's super cool. So when we talk about those 27 MSPs, so they've automated 90% of their onboarding process. That is coming from right here. So every platform that you see listed here below, we are tying into your multi-tenant accounts where all of your clients live in that main tenant of yours, right? So think of your Meraki's, Cloudflares, Dattos, Duos, Googles, all the clients live in that main tenant. The time associated to the right is always misunderstood. People assume it is the time to take each client to set up each integration so Liongard can do its 6 phases of automation. Not the case. This is all customers at once. So now let me give you your perspective. As long as you come into Liongard and you design your onboarding template, your security template, and your license and warranty template, and then start rolling this out, you allow automation to work in your favor. If you guys start building the integrations first and then start designing your templates, you're doing it backwards. It's going to take you twice as long. Now let's pretend that you guys are a Liongard partner, right? And you're doing this integration. Well, because you designed your templates, you're going to spend 15 minutes mapping your CSP account API of 365 into Liongard, just 15 minutes. Once you hit activate, Liongard is going to go build all 150 client profiles in itself. It's then going to go and look at all 150 customers to make sure that they are still configured securely the way that you onboarded them, which we know there's probably some things out there that need fixing. Start monitoring for changes and alerting for drift, but it'll also build you 150 configs and ConnectWise and keep those up to date forever. You spent 15, 20 minutes of your life and you changed the way your entire team is able to operate around 365 forever. Now go do that for SentinelOnes, Ubiquities, Veeams, Duos, and so on and so forth. And we start to understand that if we come in and we design our templates first and then start rolling Liongard out, 70, 80% of Liongard can get deployed in the first 2 to 3 weeks, as long as we do those templates first and then start rolling out. Now, those 27 MSPs that said they've cut their onboarding times down because your practice today is to add them to your tenants, right? You're onboarding a new customer, you add them to your Datto tenant, you add them to your Duo tenant, you add them to your 365 tenant. Well, as you add clients to those tenants, Liongard is watching that API, so they'll actually come to you and go, hey, I discovered you added a client to 8 systems we're watching. So your onboarding team will just click in here. And you'll say, hey, Liongard, grab all new 8 systems in onboard. That is it. Liongard just went out and documented all 8 platforms, built you 8 configs in your ConnectWise, found all the red flags and mapped them to a board in ConnectWise, the things you need to fix, starts monitoring for changes and alerting for CIS drift. It not only did 10 hours of billable work in less than 30 seconds, it created a more secure atmosphere for your clients and a better accessibility of data for your team in less than 30 seconds. That's a better way to IT. That's using automation to your advantage and ensuring standardization around your processes. All the alerts are already pre-built in here that you can start using to design these templates. We have example templates in here. Our team will help you design these templates to whatever your specific standardization is. But you want your first 3 templates. So you're going to want to focus on onboarding template, security template, licensing warranty template. Those 3 templates will carry you so far. Yeah, this platform is used by everybody in the organization, ops, billing, and service, even sales. Now, what's really cool is, right, when you hit that button activate, this is what it builds for your team for 365 profile, right? Look at all the data, this wealth of information that your team now has at their fingertips that they can start building standardization around, right? Like right now, out of the 150 customers, or let's say 100 customers in 365, how many of them have a score better, a Microsoft Secure score better than 250 at this moment? Do you guys know? So Liongard has a lot of security practices built into it. It's helping in the MSP community maintain a secure score better than 250 every day because it's analyzing the data and informing when scores start to drop. It's also able to alert you when people's MFAs are disabled to ensure better security around that realm. Now, every single piece of data we collect is change detectable, alertable, and reportable. And so you guys can build standardization. Go, hey, Liongard, watch every end user every day. If it goes from enabled to disabled, document it on your timeline and create me a ticket on this board, right? And every single piece of information, again, is change detectable. So you can even say, hey, I want to standardize that our default MFA method is duo. If you ever see an end user where that is missing, document it and let me know. Because right now, how would you guys know? Unless you physically do an audit of tens of thousands of end users, which no one has the time for. So we just hope until it's too little too late. Liongard partners don't hope. They ensure and they secure. And you can design this any which way you want. You could say, hey, for every end user that we have, I want you, Liongard, I want you to watch their mailboxes. Should somebody's mailbox go exceed 90% of the quota, please create me a ticket. Whereas how would you guys know that today? All right, same thing with Intune. Intune is the next generation of technology that is forming on our MSP community that no one can standardize on yet, except for a Liongard partner. A Liongard partner can standardize on everything. They go, hey, for every device that we manage in Intune, I want to make sure that passcodes are enabled or threat protection is enabled or whatever it may be. A minimum password length be 10 characters. Right now, how do you know which devices are compliant and are not compliant? How long would it take you to ensure that? Create a template around Liongard and let technology confirm it for you every day so that you guys can answer, yes, every device is compliant. Where 95% of your peers would have no idea, it creates a competitive advantage in the space. Now, let's talk about teaching the techs, right? Liongard is creating tickets that have never been seen by a technician before. So sometimes when a ticket comes in, even how you guys are operating today, right? A level one gets a ticket in, or help desk person gets a ticket that they don't know how to resolve, or technician gets a ticket that he hasn't worked on in years, so he forgot how he did it. And now comes the time wasting, right? Going Google, trying to find a YouTube video to show them how to do it. This is all time being wasted. When a Liongard sends out a ticket to your team, we empower the team with the data of what is going on. So I'll give you a great example. Here's a ticket that we create for internet domain issues. Email 4G exposure from a rogue source on blackrooster.net. This is something you're incapable of getting alert on today. Moving forward, when this ticket comes into ConnectWise, we're going to show your team, hey, this is the issue we found. This is the concern of the issue. This is what's causing your issue. And here are your steps to fix the issue yourself. Thus empowering the first set of eyes on this ticket to go, hey, I know how to do this, or I know exactly who needs to do this. Thus empowering them to be more efficient in their role and where the destination of this ticket must reside in. Now, once that ticket comes into ConnectWise, of course, we're going to attach it to the config that we built through automation. But as this ticket forecasts into the into the service board, it can map to a specific service board of choice, right? We don't want a email forgery exposure going to the same service board as a Lenovo server is 30 days within warranty range, right? We want to have that ability to customize that. Now, again, here's the issue. Here's the concern. Here's what's causing it. Here's your steps to fix it. When you close the ticket in ConnectWise, it'll automatically close in Liongard. If your tech is in Liongard and they close the ticket there, it'll automatically close in ConnectWise. In the event that they fixed the issue and they forgot to close the ticket, or the issue resolved itself, right? We're going to see that the issue is no longer present. We're going to close the ticket in both places for you. And then in the rare event where a ticket is closed, but the issue comes back up again in the first 24 to 48 hours, we will not create a new ticket, which would be noise. We're going to reopen the original ticket and append to it, go, hey, take another look at this. This thing came back again. So true closed loop ticketing between and ConnectWise. So another last cool thing with ConnectWise integration, ConnectWise and Liongard built a partnership in billing review. So again, this is designed for your finance team to have this information at their fingertips. Today, traditional MSPs at the end of the month, they have a admin or accounting person has to go in and true up all the agreements. Well, if one customer has 5 or 6 different things that you guys are truing up for, and you've got 100 customers, that means that billing person is having to log into 500 to 600 different tenants to cross-compare data to get accurate numbers out for invoicing, which is why it takes so long. Now with Liongard, you tiered up with ConnectWise, you click on billing review, Liongard pulls in the ConnectWise contract, the agreement additions, the things you're billing them for, and the current quantity of which you're billing them for. On the right-hand side, it's using Liongard's API into that platform to actually pull in the correct count. And so I can see here as a billing person, right, I'm billing them for 5 Webroot AV servers in my ConnectWise agreement for this client donation, but there's actually 10 active. So I am underbilling by 5. I need to adjust the invoice to 10 now. And we do that for every integration we have, whether it be 365, whether it be Umbrella, whether it be domains, GoDaddies, everything in between. We now are empowering your finance person just to have one portal to go to cross compare everything that you guys bill for within that body of that agreement. Let's see here. Last but not least, let's talk about reporting. So here's a fun fact. There are 80,000 managed service providers in the world today. There are only 2,000 that can do what I'm about to show you here, right? Because think about it. There's no other platform in the world that takes your entire client base, your entire tech stack, and puts all that data into one interface for you to report through. So this to me is one of the huge advantages we have in this industry, because today when doing audits, what is your team forced to do? They're forced to sift through a ton of data of systems that are configured correctly to find the very few that are not. And the time to do that minimizes our ability to actually do it consistently. And so I'll give you a great example. Let's pretend you have 100 clients and 100 domains. And your project this week was to go ensure that every client and their domain has an SPF and DMARC record present. How long would that project take today for you guys to go do to confirm every domain is secure? The average time to vet out a single domain is about 10 minutes. And so times 100 domains, you got 1,000 minutes there. So you divide that by 60 minutes, that's 16 hours just to do that one project, just to make sure. Or empower your team with data. So this report is already pre-built for you guys. It's the email security from CIS. We're going to open it up. I'm going to tell Liongard to bring in all my customers. I have 48 domains out there, but it could be 480 because it's going to do it in the same speed. I'm going to say, hey, Liongard, go find me the ones missing DMARC. Now go find me the ones missing SPF. And they're the 9 that need my tech attention. I just converted a 16-hour project for MSP into a 30-second identification. Now take that forward to do firmware versions in SonicWalls, right? Doing audits there, or end users in bypass mode with Duo, or 365 users whose MFA is disabled, right? And we start to understand, well, it's no wonder why we can't control these things today, because our teams are limited in their time and ability to get to what they need to do that job efficiently. But if we empower them with Liongard and they can just get to the data immediately, well, then of course our clients are going to be more secure. Of course, we're going to be on top of these things better, right? And your imagination is your only limitation built into designing these reports, because for the first time ever, you're allowing your team to have access to all the data they need, right? Want to do an SSL vulnerability check? Liongard, bring in all my customers. I got 68 out there. Go find me the ones that have expired or set to expire in the next 30 days. Done. Want to do a firmware version audit? Go out there, Liongard. Go find me all the ones who are on version 6.2.1. So another great report is right now you guys are like, hey, what workstations are missing Sentinel-1 today, right? Or BitLocker. You can go in here and say, hey, Liongard, bring in all my customers, bring in all my workstations. Go find me every machine missing Sentinel-1. Done, right? And to me, the days of needing scripts to get the information you need is outdated, right? This report right here, this is a Liongard report. So let's pretend you guys have 3,000 workstations out there, right? I'm going to open this report up. I'm going to say, hey, Liongard, out of 3,000 workstations, did we leave WebRoot on any of them? There's the one machine that has WebRoot still. Or, hey, how about just being able to say with confidence, if somebody asked you, hey, does every single workstation that you guys manage have their private firewall enabled? Yes, all 3,000 of them do, within a second of asking that question. That is a more secure way to IT. That is a better way to operate. Just being able to do a project. Hey, we got to go do a project, make sure all those Windows 10 machines, let's get them upgraded to 11. Let's go find the 10 machines. Liongard, go find them. They're the 3 machines that still have Windows 10 on them. No more scripting, no more shoveling. Let's just find and identify and execute, and let's be more efficient because of it, right? Even down to security vulnerability patching. Hey, we got to go make sure all 3,000 of those machines have that KB890 update. Liongard, go find me all the missing ones. And they're the 4 before I can even stop talking. Found. How long would it take a script to be built, designed, and work to find those same 4? Right? If we empower our team with better data and access to it, of course, we're going to be a better MSP for it. Now, what's important to know is all of this data we're capturing, we're also passing it through on an API to BrightGauge. So if you guys are using BrightGauge today or considering using BrightGauge and are frustrated with the lack of data and detail in there because of the limitations on the APIs and cost structure to it. By engaging Liongard and plugging our API into BrightGauge, we convert our metrics into gauges. So look at this license and expiration dashboard, right? That is designed by the data that Liongard pushes in. Here's my 4 licenses of SonicWall that are expiring, or my domains that are expiring, or my SSL certs. This is all one report or one dashboard, all powered by Liongard's data through one API. So just unplug one integration you have into BrightGauge today, plug Liongard in, and all this data will start to fuel the platform and really bring it to its true potential. Now, for those who don't want to use BrightGauge or might be leaving BrightGauge, we did the same theory concept with Power BI. So you'll plug Liongard into the Power BI App Center. Once opened up, these 6 templated reports will start to self-generate, providing you data within each report that is now usable. And so here's like another expiration report, right? Again, all powered by the data in Liongard, pushed through our API through Power BI. The reason why more MSPs don't use Power BI is the time and the PhD degree you need to build it out. By utilizing Liongard in our API, you now cut that time down significantly because all the data can finally funnel its way in here and into these different areas. When we talk about the next generation of tools that are coming into our industry, right? Automation is the key of everything, but what is at the center of that is data, right? For these tools to use, BrightGauge needs data. Gradient and Roost, they need data. They need standardization to build their practices around. Now, when you look at a tool like Liongard, your single pane of glass where all of your data lives at. Well, now these tools like BrightGauge, like Gradient MSP, like Crushbank, Nirmata, Lifecycle Insights, Hoodoo, IT Glue, I've learned that by tacking into Liongard, they're able to 10x their value for their clients, right? Their platforms become enhanced due to the data that is brought to them by Liongard. It's very seldom that you make an investment into a technology that not only improves your lives or the clients' lives and your tech's lives, but also improves the tools that you're already using. Right. And so that's a great thing about Liongard is it's enhancing the tools that are out there as well. It's easy to line item Liongard. Just, you go to your client and say, hey, or you just include it as part of your offering, right? Because every single week we're going to be doing a dark web scan of every individual end user email address to find breaches and inform about that. Giving them the ability to access Liongard will create a more sticky relationship with the client, right? Because they're going to be able to self-serve on what does their risk look like today, see and understand the work that you guys are constantly putting on behind the scenes to deliver, very minimized risk assessments across these things. And also giving them, you could actually have Liongard send out scheduled reports to your clients once a month with your logo on it, just to bring out some additional value, right? So now, having access to Liongard, you're empowering your end users to have better visibility into the things that you guys are helping them maintain. They're getting reports from you, and you're doing dark web monitoring. For an extra, I don't know, whatever you guys would want to charge for something like that on the agreement, is very much well worth the investment from any end user's point of view to have access to things like that. So a lot of people monetize Liongard. Of course, you don't have to. You can just include it in any which way you want to do it, but just some things to think about.